Hello, my name is Dorothy Rowling, and I am in EDUC 732. I have the pleasure of sharing my research on human performance technology with you. Interestingly enough, I was completely unaware of the existence of this field prior to this course. So this definitely was a learning experience for me. During this presentation, I will be speaking to you about the history of HPT, Human Performance Technology, definitions of HPT, characteristics of HPT, the image of the HPT model, 10 core HPT standards, educational technology, the online learning environment, the biblical worldview, critical analysis, and you will have the opportunity to see my works cited page. As you can see on the slide, Frank and Marilyn Gilbert conceived of the human performance technology. The Formative Thoughts of HPT by Frank and Marilyn Gilbert consider performance as a blend of behavior and accomplishment, not merely competence. The idea of training for competence seems substandard to demonstrated achievements of learning. In this way, organizations and individuals profit from the resolutions of the performance gaps to enable worthy performance. According to Gilbert, the real purpose of performance technology is to engineer as much valuable accomplishment for as little costly behavior as possible. I didn't want to just improve performance, she said. I wanted to accomplish worthy performance where the values outstrip the costs. Human performance technology has a wonderful opportunity to harness the art of teaching, the science of learning and development, and technology such that the highest achievements can be made in educational outcomes. The use of front-end analysis to diagnose problems using smart questions, to design and develop interventions that are cost-effective and efficient, and to evaluate outcomes helps to ensure performance achievement. The role of HPT is to come alongside and empower the efforts of teachers, learners, and organizations. And as you can see on the slide, this has been the history of HPT. Really looking at how to improve the performance of individuals, of organizations, such that valuable service or output is achieved. I like the way it's written at the bottom of slide 3, where it says, the rationale for using the HPT model is understood to uncover the gap between the actual and the desired performance by asking smart questions. And these are the very questions that really enable us to search for the root cause of the issues at hand. In this effort, relationships, collaboration, and the front-end analysis intersect. And in my opinion, from what I've learned so far in this course, the front-end analysis really is the pillar of the HPT model. Definitions. I have before you definitions of HPT. In fact, I have 3 definitions before you on HPT. These definitions have been taken from authors Kang and Melinda, Gilbert, and O'Driscoll, and their references are at the end of this presentation on the reference slide. I would like to read for you these definitions because I think that is going to be helpful for us to understand what is human performance technology. We understand the history, but now we're going to look at the definitions. Human performance technology has been defined as a field that studies and reveals how to improve performance and efficiency. uncovering barriers, missed opportunities, and deficiencies in the organization and the employee. Number two, the human performance technology model has been defined as a field that seeks to bring about changes to a system. And again, that's another key word in HPT, which is to bring about changes to a system in such a way that the system is improved. Looking at HPT, system is a very important word because the HPT model is a systems model. Number three, a systematic approach to improving productivity and competence using a set of methods and procedures and a strategy for solving problems. These are some of the definitions of the field. In fact, there are more than 30 definitions, but I've only listed 3. What are some of the characteristics of HPT, Human Performance Technology? And again, I've listed 3 there for you. The first one that I would like to talk about is, as part of its formation, human performance technology has behavioral and cognitive parents. Now, that might seem a little weird to say that a model has parents, but as we look at HPT, we realize that it is a model comprised of other disciplines. For example, behavioral disciplines. That would be B.F. Skinner. Cognitive discipline, that would be Piaget. And so as we look at the beginnings of the model, we see that the behavioral and cognitive parts are there within this HPT framework. In fact, the Gilberts actually sat underneath B.F. Skinner as part of their training. And so we see that a lot in this model. The second thing is we need to understand why we do what we do and how can that pattern be improved for the better. And again, you see the behavioral and the cognitive input, even in that characteristic of HPT. Understanding why we do what we do, and then looking at that as a pattern to see if it's something that can be improved upon. Again, looking to add value to the outcome and value to the process. The third thing is, as I mentioned before, a characteristic of HPT is that it's systematic. It's done in a systematic, step-by-step approach to yield higher performance levels and greater efficiency. And so we're looking at greater efficiency because of a sequential examination of the process of an analysis, that front-end analysis that I mentioned at the very beginning of this presentation. There are 10 core standards of HPT that will also be discussed in this presentation. But the next thing that we're going to look at is the HPT model itself. I'm actually going to take a couple of minutes and really talk to you about the HPT model. So as we look at the HPT model, let me just get my notes together, my apologies. Okay, so as we look at the HPT model, we see that the first step is analysis. And as I mentioned before, the front-end analysis is when we look at the current state and we ask questions. We look at the current state and we ask questions about the current state. What is the current state? Why does the current state need to change? What is a desired state? Why is the desired state better than the current state? What is the organization looking to do? What is the goal? What are the things that the organization would like to accomplish? All of these questions, called SMART questions, are put forth at the very beginning of the process to examine the problems, to determine really if there is a problem, and if there is, what is the problem, to take a deeper dive into what is causing the issue, the current state. If we look at the left side of the model, it says analysis. Underneath analysis, it says desired and actual performance. The difference between the desired and the actual performance is called the gap, G-A-P. This gap is what CPT, certified performance technologists, are looking to resolve. And so we see that causes can happen as a result of the environment or as a result of the individual, maybe even both. So as we look at the causes of the issue, it's important to look at the environment. Is it something that's happening in the external environment? Is it something that's happening in the internal environment in the organization? Looking at the individual, is the individual part of the problem? Is it something with the individual? Is it a competence level? Is it a knowledge level? What is the causative factors? Again, looking at solutions from the very beginning as well. If those are the causes, then what could be possible solutions? As we consider the solution, we are looking at interventions. Interventions that will help to resolve the gap. Again, looking at the environment as well as the individual. Can the environment be a part of the solution, changing the environment such that there's a resolution of the gap? Once we have determined the type of intervention that would best resolve the gap, it would then be time for implementation. In implementation, and it's a little fuzzy there, so I will read it for you. It says partnering, it says process consulting, project management, and communications. As we look at communication, vitally important in making sure that each part of the process is functioning and flowing through people, through processes. That means that there's a sender, there's a message, and a receiver. And so as the message is being sent between the sender and the receiver, again, this is important for the movement of the process, the resolution of the gap. In partnering, looking at partnerships between the client, between the certified performance technologist, and the issues, working together, partnering together, pulling together, collaborating such that the goal is accomplished. The process consulting, project management, again, looking at benchmarks as well as opportunities for improvement. Part of implementation intervention could also be the formative evaluation. The formative evaluation takes place while the process is still in unfolding, as opposed to the summative evaluation, which takes place at the very end. And then there's a confirmative evaluation, again, looking at the achievement of the desired outcomes. This is the HPT model. Before, well, in a previous slide, I mentioned the 10 core HPT standards, and this is something really that every CPT knows, every certified performance technologist knows. And so I just put them here so that as part of the presentation, so that we will understand that these 10 core standards really should show up each and every time HPT is being used to bring about an improvement in performance. So the first thing we have is maintain focus on results. It should always be the focus, zero laser focus on results and outcomes. It should always be that systemic view, looking at, again, the systematic process. There should always be the addition of value added to the work, added to the product, to the end product, to the outcome. There should always be a partnership, as I mentioned before, with clients and stakeholders. And again, looking for the need or the opportunity, the challenge, looking to resolve the gap by determining the causes, by designing solutions, by ensuring the solutions conform and are feasible. There wouldn't be any point to having a solution that would not be feasible, that it would not meet the needs of the client. It wouldn't resolve the gap. So CPTs have to be mindful about their solution strategies and their final designs. Again, looking at the implementation of solutions and then evaluating the results. Again, either formative, summative, or confirmative. And looking at the impact of the end product on the gap, resolving the gap between the current state and the desired state. Okay, and so that was a brief discussion on HPT, looking at the history, looking at definitions, and even the standards. But now we're going to dig a little bit deeper and talk about educational technology and HPT as it relates to its usefulness. Again, talking about the impact. And so I have a couple of articles that I have here on the slide, and I'm going to talk to you about each of these articles briefly because they are in my paper, um, so I don't have to dig too deep into this presentation. Besides, I only have 30 minutes. So I want to talk to you about the first article by Gavi Speaker and Rosdi. And they were talking about teaching and learning with technology, the effectiveness of information communication and technology integration in schools. Okay, so by way of introduction, I would like to say that technology has provided an incredible boost to teaching and learning. And that was written again by the same authors, Gavi Fikar and Rosdi. The use of computer-assisted instruction has enabled learners to be engaged in self-directed learning. Learning management systems, programs have provided leveled education that as the knowledge and skillfulness of the learner increases, so does the difficulty level of the instruction until an advanced level is attained. Teachers can incorporate technology into lesson plans and classroom instruction to provide active learning and mental emotional engagement of their students. Virtual reality technology transforms a blank wall or a table into an image that can be manipulated with 2 fingers. Pretty impressive. The HPT model has been successfully used in the field of education. An abundance of research articles are available to demonstrate the application of HPT and educational technology. The only caveat with using technology is that generational differences may impact the outcomes. And in fact, that is what the study revealed. Both studies actually revealed that generational differences had some impact on the use of educational technology in the online environment. There's a couple of articles that I would like to talk about here. One article is by Martin, which is not written here, but just as a side note, just to highlight the fact that there are barriers to educational technology. HPT revealed extensive barriers in this one study by Martin done in 2017 that revealed an overeducation of the faculty, something that we need to be careful for when we are applying educational technology in HPT, to make sure that our goals are, again, achievable and feasible, something that the CPT has to keep in mind when helping a client in improving their performance. The article by Godfrey, Feker, and Rosdi investigated the optimization of its national education strategy. The desired state was to use educational technology in the learning environment to improve the shortcomings of the educational system in Malaysia that was identified by the Ministry of Education. The integration of information communication and technology was hoped to improve the national ranking of the educational system in Malaysia. And so this study was actually a larger study, in that the hopes were that the national education system in that country would be improved, and they actually were looking to see if at some point they would be able to move up in a national ranking as far as educational systems that were of worthy status. As part of a front-end analysis, several questions were asked to determine the gap between the current state and the desired state. These included questions regarding the openness of the teachers and students to technology. Other questions included the practical and financial support of governmental administration, policy development, and the overall capability of the infrastructure to support a robust educational technology initiative. Surveys distributed to teachers and students identified barriers within the classrooms, including teacher fearfulness, as I mentioned about 5 minutes ago. Students' lack of preparation, depending upon their age, and a key solution identified a key fact, which is teacher buy-in. Teacher buy-in was a major barrier to the ability of this education to move forward, this technology to move forward. So that was the study by Gava, Feker, and Rosdi. Seems like they have a long way to go in improving their educational system in that country due to the fearfulness of their teachers. Another study, well, the fearfulness of the teachers regarding the use of technology. They were fine with paper and pencil. Another study by Ye and Singh, and this study came out of Taiwan, where they were looking to improve teacher confidence with educational technology as it related to computer-assisted language learning, what they call CALL, C-A-L-L. And so the title of their study was Using the ADDIE Model to Nurture the Development of Teachers' CALL Professional Knowledge. In the analysis phase, each teacher self-identified problems. And again, the biggest problem was that the teachers felt comfortable with paper and pencil, but they were fearful of computer-assisted instruction. As part of the design and development, teachers created an educational technology lesson, computer-assisted lesson, and observed students' learning performance. And so at the end of that process, the teachers were able to demonstrate improvement in their knowledge and in their performance by putting together an educational lesson using technology and then testing that lesson on students and observing their performance. Though fear of technology was the largest barrier, those teachers were able to overcome and move forward in preparing a lesson for their students. That was educational and technological. That was the use of educational technology in HPT. I would now like to talk to you about online learning, the online learning environment, and HPT. Online education with synchronous and asynchronous capabilities provided opportunities for learners to receive instruction in silo or with others. The epistemological approach to online education used the Garrison, Anderson, and Archer's community of inquiry model, in which there were three presences, which were determined to accomplish a fulfilling learning environment. The model looked at cognitive presence, teaching presence, and social presence. Successful online programs were formulated using this model to assist the learner to capture a sense of the traditional classroom setting with group exercises, synchronous discussion boards, and social chat features. A lot of what we have here at Liberty using Canvas. Technology has also increased, and so has societal demands and learner needs. Online education is continually progressing towards models and philosophies that enhance the experience and edification of learners, looking to have learners own their learning. In the learning environment, okay, my mistake, I need to go back, my apologies, to the very first article by Shearer. The first article by Shearer demonstrates the impact of HPT on educational technology. The authors, as you see on the slide, used HPT in an online educational program that was rooted in distance education theory. HPT was used to improve the online experience for students. As part of analyzing the problem, the researchers convened focus groups and administered a survey method called ZMET. ZMET uses images to reveal deep emotional thoughts and beliefs that individuals have about a concept. The technique revealed that there was a problem with the expectations of both students and faculty. So that was the analysis. Barriers to technology by some faculty members were also problematic. Looking at the solution from the very beginning, the solution was to create an online presence, as we were just talking about, an online presence in which students and faculty members felt engaged in the learning process. Technology has impacted pedagogical strategies that stretch students and help faculty members to engage as well. Instructional designers were thought to be a helpful addition to creating online content that was both favorable and consistent, which was something that the researchers found that students would appreciate more, is having engaging and relevant content. In the learning environment, HPT has successfully improved human performance in the classroom and online. And the next study by Peters and Giacomo, and the title of their study is on the slide. They used the HPT model in a learning environment in which non-native teachers were recruited to teach in English to indigenous people. The solutions were consistent with a change in the curriculum to include increased demonstrated knowledge of the training material by the teachers, similar to the previous study by, not sure, the previous study, which was by Yay, where the teachers actually had to demonstrate knowledge. So Peters and Giacomo, they changed the curriculum to include increased demonstrated knowledge of the training material by the teachers and mutual cultural sensitivity to reduce barriers to learning. Additionally, the classroom was to become a safe space for learning, which was free of bias, free of judgment, and free of arrogance. And so the researchers found that there was bias and judgment and arrogance on the part not just of the the non-native teachers, but on the part of the indigenous people as well, that they were each looking down on each other for their lack of ability to communicate in a certain language. And so that was another barrier that was resolved through the use of HPT. So those were the two studies on the online learning environment and HPT. I would like to now talk to you about the biblical worldview. As you can see it there on the slide. It's a little lengthy. The biblical worldview is clear that without plans, a process fails. I have 3 scriptures there that I would like to read for you, if you don't mind. The first one is in Ecclesiastes, where the author talks about a man who plans how he's going to divide his wealth in case of calamity. And this is what the Word of God says. Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verses 1 and 2. Cast your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days. Give a serving to 7, and also to 8, for you do not know what evil will be on the earth. The next verse is found in Luke chapter 14, verses 28 through 32. And again, the word of the Lord says, For which of you, intending to build a tower, does not sit down first and count the cost, whether he has enough to finish it? Lest after he has laid the foundation and is not able to finish, all who see it begin to mock him, saying, This man began to build and was not able to finish. Or what king going to make war against another king does not sit down first and consider whether he is able with 10,000 to meet him who comes against him with 20,000? Or else, while the other is still a great way off, he sends a delegation and asks for conditions of peace. And the third scripture that I wanted to read to you is found in 2 Corinthians 3, verses 17 and 18. And I have it right here. I marked that one off, but I didn't, so bear with me while I put my hands on it nervously now. Okay, 2 Corinthians 3 says, 17 and 18. Okay. Now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. But we all, with unveiled face, beholding as in a mirror the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from glory to glory, just as by the Spirit of the Lord. And so we see, just as it says on the slide, that the Lord leads us into deeper levels of our understanding and our level of dedication and devotion to Him. In this same way, the improvement of human performance for the benefit of making a process or an individual effort more value-laden should be desired by disciples of Jesus. It should be our desire to be better. My critical analysis, which I would like to just read for you. As early as the 11th century, the acquisition of knowledge and an education was thought to solve the world's problems. 10 centuries later, the field of education is still of great importance and has long been used as a means of improving the knowledge and behaviors of humans. Technology has created an opportunity for learning to take place in constructive ways. Students can own their own learning, and foster independence in the classroom and the online areas. In the field of HPT, educational technology is useful in resolving gaps between the current state and the desired state. As it applies to human competence and improvement, Education, along with technology, has made strides to improve the online learning experience, as outlined in this presentation. And I myself am a witness that online education is not easy, but it works. In conclusion, the HPT model created more than 30 years ago is still relevant today as an effective tool to improve education happening in the online arena. The use of technology to aid the installation of educational content has exploded. The advent of virtual reality, learning management systems like Canvas, Blackboard, to improve training and human performance. This presentation explored the collaboration between HPT, the online learning environment, and educational technology. Exemplars used revealed that the use of HPT improved performance and sustainability of educational outcomes using educational technology in an online learning environment. Are there any questions? These are my works cited, and these are my references that are available if you so desire.